how are you going to make people feel? That is the first step in building relationships with clients.
Listen, listen, listen.
Yeah, shut your mouth. That's
Shut
what you said
your
earlier.
mouth.
Shut your mouth and listen.
Every business can benefit from that.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth and listen.
Welcome to the Lasting Business Solutions Podcast, Indy's launchpad to sustain business success, growth, and leadership. My name is Renee Lucas, and I am your host, along with Travis Lucas joining me back today as we discuss customer-client relationships. You might say customer-client, it's the same thing.
I mean, is it like going to Walmart or Target?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't believe so.
We talked before, Travis, about having a business coach in our life.
Yep.
And one of our business mentors said to us once, hey, there's a difference between a customer and a client. And so you need to get in the mindset of working with clients. So customer, very transactional, right? So you mentioned Walmart or Target.
I go to Home Depot a lot, so I'm a customer for them.
Okay, you're a customer of Home Depot.
I think it's a client because I'm there so much.
Well, that's true. You might actually have relationships with people. When you think about that, you're a customer, it's transactional. You go in, they see you, they might say hi, they'll help you if you ask a question, that's it, right? Client is very different. It's establishing more of a relationship. And so I think of like professional services, right? So I think of like, to our accountant, we are one of their clients.
Yes.
Right? If you need an attorney for something, you are one of their clients. And so thinking about those relationships and in the trades, how often did you ever think about customer versus client in HVAC?
Before opening up the company or after?
Or actually before our business mentor challenged us with that.
You go there, you do a job, you collect a check, you hope you collect a check.
Right.
And you move on. So there was nobody in a database that says Mrs. Jones is going to be in there for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So, it was just a customer.
So thinking back to your days as a technician, right? You had a number of calls on your schedule each day.
Yep.
And you had to get through those calls to move on to be able to go home, right? Was that transactional for you? Like your mindset back as a technician at that time, a young technician, was that transactional for you or was that relational for you?
Well, there were a lot of customers in my instance that they wanted me back to the house the next year. So
why is that, you think?
A lot of the elderly ladies, all they wanted to do was talk, and I would sit down and I would talk. They would tea. Do you want something to drink? How about some food?
Yeah.
Well, every single year they would say, I request Travis back. I want Travis back to the house. So now it is a relationship because you look forward to seeing that person that used to be just a customer.
Absolutely. From a technician side,
makes you feel good.
Yeah, it makes you feel good, right? It boosts you up a little bit. Does it make you want to do a different type of job than maybe what you did before when you get those requests?
Yeah, because you're looking forward to seeing that person, so your game goes up.
Yeah.
Not that you're going to slip on any other customer, but this one takes a little more white glove, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they care about you.
I think that one industry that really demonstrates the difference well is the food industry. And so think restaurants. You go in and whether, we like to sit at the bar, but whether you're at a bar table, your bartender, your waiter, your waitress, whoever it is, they can have a very transactional conversation with you, right? It's very superficial. They don't ask you much, the service could be fine, but it's very superficial.
Yeah.
And then you get your people who laugh and they crack a joke and they ask you what your name is. And, they might ask you some other fun questions, even like, are you visiting or are you from Indy? Do you come in here a lot? How does that make you feel when you are in a restaurant and somebody is transactional versus more relational?
Transactional usually equates to the service probably wasn't as good as it could be. The food was so-so. Maybe service was slow, as opposed to you go to a restaurant or a bar that you've been to that it's like Cheers where they know your name.
Everybody knows your name.
So, I'll give a prime example. My brother, he's a chef.
Yeah.
We go to a restaurant, everybody knows him. It's like he's high-fiving people behind the bar, and somehow the service goes through the roof because it's a relationship building.
That they have with him.
Yeah, that they have with Leighton. Everywhere we go, everyone knows my brother.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's really cool to see people come alive. I'll tell you, one of the coolest stories, we were at a restaurant in Fishers for your birthday, and it was time for dessert, and dessert was coming out.
And anybody knows me, I don't like sweets. What do I like?
Well, you say you don't, but you always take a bite or two of mine.
Yeah, but then I'm like,
Yeah, but you always say, man, but if I had a bag of Doritos.
If there are Doritos on that menu, I don't care if it's 5-star restaurant, $4 signs on Yelp.
Yeah.
Give me Doritos.
That's your dessert of
but
choice.
It doesn't happen.
No, but this particular restaurant, they go back to get your dessert, which I had ordered for you as a surprise, right? Because we were there for your birthday. And a Snickers cake come out, and you were like, okay, yeah, it looked amazing. It looked
And
so
I remember
good,
exactly what I said to our waitress. If you had Gardettos and Doritos on the menu, that's what I want.
Yeah. And then they came back.
With Gardettos and Doritos. It was actually
The table erupted.
It did.
Do you remember the table erupted?
People around us were going, what is going on?
Yes, how is this happening?
Yeah.
And so we have never forgotten that experience. We talk about it all the time. We tell people, like, you have to check it out. That's the difference between viewing people as a customer versus as a client.
And it's not even you get someone to be a client or you get a relationship with them. It's not all about, oh my gosh, I'm going to work these people to get all the money out of them I can.
Yeah.
That's not it. It's the connection that you have, especially over food.
Oh,
I mean, everybody loves food.
Yeah.
But you switch from that transactional, let's call it McDonald's, Arby's, Wendy's, it doesn't matter. You're in a drive-thru, you give them money, they give you the meal and you're out.
Yeah.
You get to a place where it's, a client relationship and it's totally different.
It becomes an experience. Right?
Oh, 100%.
And so I would challenge business owners, and we've talked about this a lot ourselves, how can we make it an experience? So people don't come to us when they are happy or like excited to spend money on what we do, right? People come to us because they have a pain. Their heat stopped working, their air conditioning has stopped working. They're afraid how much it's going to cost, how much time it's going to take, somebody strange is going to be in their house, all of the things. So how can we make it this incredible experience, right? And we've worked really hard. We've talked a little bit on past episodes about our core values and the LCS way, how we really differentiate with everybody. Think for a minute, Travis, has there ever been a time when you felt like you've lost a job or you've lost a customer because it was more transactional?
I think I know where you're going with this.
I mean, I might know what I'm talking about, but I was hoping
you
did.
I don't know what year it was. It was probably 2010, 2012. We were slammed as far as we were pricing jobs wrong, which meant we had all this work. I was in a hurry. I went to a sales call, and I think in my mind I'm really good with customers. And I feel like I am.
Yeah. You are. I always say you are. You're really, really good with people.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can get lost in like knowing that you're good, and then you think it just always comes across, right?
Well, I was in a hurry, and this lady called in and she told us why we lost the job is because I didn't give her time.
Yeah, she didn't feel heard.
She didn't feel heard.
Yeah. Now, as a business owner, because I'm the one that got to break that news to you, right? And that was fun. But as a business owner, what was your first reaction when I said?
Come on. I was like, no way, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I was defensive.
You were super defensive, and that's what I was like. And so this will be a future episode as well. But like spouses working together, right? Because I knew your reaction was going to be to get defensive, and it was. But I wanted to present it in a way to where, like, hey, as co-owners of this company, we need to talk about how this person felt, because if this person felt that way, somebody else has too. They just didn't take the time to call in and tell us, right? And it was very unintentional. You didn't mean to make her feel like she wasn't heard or like you didn't have time for her.
I just had 1,000 jobs waiting behind her is what it was.
Yeah, which is super common for every business owner
in
every industry out there.
Complete wrong way to do it.
Well, it is. So what did you learn from that?
Well, first off, I need to sit down. I need to shut my mouth. Listen, find out what their pain points are, what is important to them, but just listen. And now become that switch from transactional to relationship building to a client.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that for years.
Do you feel like you do that now?
Oh yeah, I could sit down. Most time I get suckered into coffee. It's usually older,
it's the way to your heart.
Older guys, especially, maybe 80s.
Yeah.
I'll sit down and I'll burn 3 hours because they just want to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
So not trying to get a job. I don't care about the job. If we get the job, great. If we don't get the job, great. Doesn't matter. It's sitting down and actually listening to someone talk.
Last week, Andy Stone was, or last episode, Andy Stone was our guest on here, and he's the owner of A&B Farmhouse in Noblesville. And so he has a retail shop where people come because they're excited. They're excited for new decor in their home. They're excited to decorate a new room or something, right? And so if you're in a business, though, where people aren't excited to work with you.
Like HVAC?
Like HVAC, okay. Like plumbing, like electrical, like so many things. Even take something like landscaping. People can be really excited about that, but that's a really big investment for your home. And
isn't going to last. Some of it's not going to last. It's going to disappear.
It might die or something, right? Or we get a bad frost or something and something comes along. And so there's a lot of things to think about with that. But how do we make customers clients, right? How do they come back to us? How do they...
It starts in the office, honestly, on the phone.
Yeah.
Who does that person answering the phone, how do they make that person feel?
Okay, I love what you said. How do you make that person feel? I know that so many of my experiences that I gush about to other people are because the experiences made me feel a certain way. How can I make this an incredible experience? And you had said, like, shut your mouth and listen, right? So many people, they want to be heard. They want to be understood. I think, too, so many times we really work hard on providing education to people, right? So there are a lot of times you'll give people tips. There's nothing we're going to gain out of that financially, nothing, right? But it's just, hey, here's some tips. Here's some, DIY is a big deal in our industry. And so what are really, smart DIY things to do that can make your equipment last longer, that can prevent you from having to spend new money, right? Versus what are some things that, this can really go wrong. But it starts with trust.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about early on is, our company name is LCS Heating and Cooling. But I used to joke, and I wasn't really smiling when I would joke about this, but I was like, it might as well be Travis Heating and Cooling, right? Because everything was Travis. Everybody wanted Travis. Nobody else wanted to talk to anybody but Travis. And then it became like on the phones, it was me, right? And when Gretchen joined our team.
It was Gretchen.
Well, at first, nobody wanted to talk to Gretchen.
Well,
because
true,
it was me, right? And then everybody wants to talk to Gretchen, and nobody wants to talk to the next person.
Yep.
And so how much do we work with our team to build experiences?
Yeah, well, we can always work more, but we would do work a lot.
Yeah, weekly.
Weekly,
daily.
I don't want it to be Travis or the Renee show. I don't want that.
No.
Because our people are our face of the company.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, you're going to get, if you don't get me out there, the next person in line is going to react just like I do to take care of you.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's really important for business owners to spend that time finding the consistency there, right? Consistency matters. So Travis, as we're talking about this mindset shift, right? So mindset shift from customer transaction to client relationship building, right? I think, we can share best what we've actually done. And so obviously we're going to be talking about HVAC here because that is our business. But I'd love for us to give some examples so that other business owners can see what we did to create a different experience in our company. And then ideally, I hope this gives everyone ideas on what they might be able to do a transitional shift in their own business.
Well, it doesn't matter what you're selling.
No.
I don't care. The service doesn't matter. The widget is X. The delivery to get a client, a longtime client, is going to be the same.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. So let's take our business, for example, okay? And let's talk in... if somebody wants a new furnace and air conditioner, right? It's really easy to go in there and say, I'm going to give you a price on a new furnace and air conditioner. And you go in with a sales mindset. I'm selling you something.
And I can tell you how it plays out. On a transactional side of things, you look at the house, you give it 15 minutes, you do one of those things where you put your thumb up in the air, that house looks like a 3-ton, and you give them an estimate. And most of the time, you just email it to them, or it's on a piece of paper and you can't read.
Yeah.
That's transactional.
Well, and at that point, you're not even really like a person, you're just a number.
Correct.
You're a price.
So what did we change?
So we really transitioned into a servant's mindset, right? So we have a whole questionnaire, we have a whole line of things that we want to go through to understand what does this homeowner want for their home, right? Do they have comfort issues? Do they have budgetary issues? Do they have humidity issues? Do they have a problem with comfort upstairs and downstairs? Are they really concerned about their utility bills? I mean, there's so many questions that we can ask, and it goes back to what you said earlier about people want to be heard. You know, they're investing a lot of money in this particular project that we're talking about. And so are they getting out of it what they want and what they need? Or do they feel like they're getting out of it what we want to sell them?
100%.
Right?
That's transactional of how do I win? Client-based is how do they win?
That I love the way you said that. And so any business owner can think about that for their business, right?
It doesn't
Are you
matter.
thinking about it in terms of how am I winning?
Yep.
Right? How am I getting revenue? Or what is the experience that this person is getting by working with me, right?
Correct.
What are they getting out of it? How long do those effects last?
Yep.
Okay. Taking that one step further, our service doesn't end when the furnace is installed.
Correct.
Right? So what does that look like on our side?
Well, that's, once again, getting that client to make sure they're like, I'm at a good place here with LCS for, in our case, is now it's office. We're rescheduling. We're trying to touch them twice a year, sometimes more than that, with postcards and emails.
Cookies.
Cookies. So that goes from that transactional one-time purchase to a maybe 20-year span of we just turn them from a transaction to now a client.
To a relationship,
To a
right?
relationship,
So it's all of these years that then they're taking care of their system. We're touching base with them. Hey, is it operating like you expected it to? Is it performing the way you expected it? Was your experience with our team exactly what you wanted it to be?
Restaurants. What do we get in the mail all the time?
Coupons.
Coupons for the restaurant we went to. They want to touch us. It doesn't matter. Once again, I go back to it. It doesn't matter if it's heating and air, if it's plumbing, it's electrical, it's restaurants, banking.
Anything. Yeah.
Anything. How we do the process can be tied to any other business technically.
It can, and then which is tied to customer experience, right? One of the other things that we did when we were transitioning from that transactional to relationship building was we changed the positions in our office. So we used to hire like a customer service representative. It's somebody who's going to answer the phone and they're going to schedule your appointment for you.
Sound like a robot maybe?
I mean, it could, absolutely, right?
So what did we do?
It can be really frustrating. So we really looked at developing positions that could be more of a concierge level service for the need that person has. So we were talking about installing a furnace and air conditioner. So let's stay on that track. Our sales lead coordinator, that is the point of contact in our office for people who are working through this project. We want them to know that they don't have to call in and explain their situation 50,000 times because they talk to somebody different every time, right? They're getting the same person who knows their home, knows their appointment, knows who went out there, can pull up their estimates, can answer questions for them, can help them with financing, knows about rebates, all of the things, right? It makes people feel a sense of relief in our industry because what they're doing with us is scary, right? It's a big investment. It's a big time commitment. We've got strangers in the home. We make noise, all of the things, right?
So what we did was we created a position in our business. Well, that position, that's super important. And one position's Heather.
Yeah.
The other position's Austin.
Yes.
Now, does Austin and Heather know a ton about HVAC?
Well, they do now, but they didn't when they started with us.
And we don't need them to know much about HVAC because all we care about, you take care of that customer.
Yeah.
You take care of that client. I keep saying customer.
Yeah.
I want to apologize for that.
Well, it's that mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
And we did because how many years, for 15 years of our business, customer. And we really are, I find myself typing that out sometimes. We really are, wanting to be the company that people feel like they have a relationship with and that they can trust.
Yeah. So can other businesses use what we have as far as positions?
Absolutely. So I would encourage other businesses to think about these shifts that we made. Creating a different process, creating different positions in our office. Another thing that we could give as an example. People are familiar with seeing coupons for tune-ups, right? $29 tune-up, $39 tune-up, $49 tune-up, $99 tune-up. They're different everywhere, right? That's very transactional, right? I'm going to use the cheapest company to get the cheapest tune-up that I can, right? Versus maybe you can develop some sort of value or package that's a different option for your clients. So for us, talking about tune-ups, right? We do have that. We have that single tune-up. We'll come in, we'll provide this service, and we're done, right? But we also have these other options that provide a little bit more value. So maybe you're thinking about replacing your system down the road, well, you might choose an option where you get a replacement credit. Maybe priority service is really important to you, and so you want one of those packages to where if you break down, you're first on the list to have somebody come out and take a look at your system, right? If you have something like a humidifier or a dehumidifier in your house, maybe you need service on those too. And so there's different things to choose from to meet everybody's needs. And so we can provide the experience that people want.
So ultimately, you're just building relationships over the years.
Yeah. And we're finding different ways to do that in our business with our people. Training all the time, right? Consistency, options, value. That's how we're really looking at building relationships.
Yeah. This isn't just for the trades.
Oh, no.
It's for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
We do go back to restaurants. I mean, restaurants want you back.
Yeah.
They do not see it as a one-time service.
Right.
And okay, we're done.
Well, think about this. One of our favorite places to go is Wolfie's. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a couple of the bartenders up there, Warren and Ange and Deb. It feels like home when we go there. It's one of those, like, they instantly light up when they see us. Hey, Travis. Hey, Renee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Remember, we wanted to get plaques on the bar.
I know, we did.
I was trying to
yes.
text Scott, the owner. I was like, can I get a plaque at the bar that says this is my seat? Because we went there so much.
But
that's relationship.
What brought us there, right? I mean, obviously they have a great menu, they have great quality food, they have those things. But what really brought us back and what continues to bring us back is the experience.
Yeah,
we really enjoy the experience.
There's multiple locations, but we go to one.
We go to one location.
Yep.
Yeah, we've randomly been to some of the others, but we go to one because of the experience that the people have given us.
Yes.
And so that's the thing too, is it's above and beyond filling a water cup. It's above and beyond making sure you deliver food that is hot, right? Those are things that are expected, but how are you going to make people feel? So whatever your industry is, one other quick tip that I would give is use people's names.
Oh.
Right? People like to hear their names, and so make
Actually,
an
I
effort.
name drop Leighton all the time at restaurants.
I know. It
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But when you're working with your clients, use their name. Right? Because it starts to build a relationship and it starts to build trust.
I have worked on that a lot. Yesterday, we happened to be in Boston yesterday, and the number one thing I've worked on is when someone helps me, I don't care if it's valet, holding the door, someone at the hotel, I say their name.
I've noticed that you're doing that
I
more.
do it all the time, and they look up and they pause.
Yeah.
Because you don't know me, but you said my name. It changes the trajectory. Was I building a relationship? No, we were just there for a hotel.
Yeah.
But it changes their life. They can turn that and use that down the road. From
a business owner standpoint, when you have a business in which you are building relationships, it's more fulfilling.
Oh.
Right? It makes you feel good. It's more fulfilling. And so we get a lot out of it as well, just like our clients do in the relationship that they have with us. Mm-hmm. I know it's really exciting. Like, there'll be somebody, I'll say Eileen, we'll call in, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, how's Eileen doing? You know what I mean? It's just because we've built that relationship, and you instantly light up when you hear her name, So it's really cool to have that on the business side too, and to see that with your team, because it's fulfilling for everybody when you build relationships instead of just thinking about a sale.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Well, thanks for being here with me again today, Travis. And that wraps us up on today's episode of Changing Your Mindset from Transactional to Relationship Building. I hope you'll join me next time on the Lasting Business Solutions podcast.